Friday. Friday is the holiday for all Muslims, all Moors, all over America. Holy Juneteenth, Holy Juneteenth Day. I guess they finally got something right. Niggas act like it ain't Friday. Yeah, it's Friday. Ain't it Juneteenth? Shit, you can't get no better than that. When the last time Juneteenth fell on a Friday? Hell, I should have screenshot this shit. So Juneteenth fell on a Friday last year. So last year was on a Friday, and this year is on a Friday. It's trying to tell us something. Everything on Friday. Because Friday is the holiday for all Muslims all over America. Right, let's do this right. Let's start it off right. We're gonna start it right early this morning. We're gonna start off with the divine constitution of Moorish America. So y'all won't get this shit twisted. Cause we celebrating a black holiday still. When, for the record, it's Moorish holiday. Everything is Moorish history. Ain't no such thing black history. It's Moorish history. It's history for black people. We're not using that anymore. Act 2, all meetings are to be open and closed promptly. Because they told us the grass green on the other side. On the other side of the ledger. Let's go ahead and get it in. What it say? It say all meetings are to be open and closed promptly. Even though this is considered as a live channel, TikTok, what I call the tick or the talk. We are all having meetings online. Another word for it is Zoom. 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 We in the club like Zoom. Right. It say promptly according to the Circle 7 and love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. Friday is our holy day. arrest. Like, got too many busybodies out here. Don't nobody want to arrest. Too many busybodies. Because on a Friday, the first man was formed in flesh. And on a Friday, the first man departed out of flesh and ascended unto his Father God Allah. For that cause, Friday is the holy day for all Muslims all over the world. So even though it's Juneteenth, 2 days, it's still a holy day. It's always going to be a holy day. Then we got Moorish American Week. And right after that, it's Moorish History Month. And then a couple months after that, it's going to be again the Moorish American History Month. In August, yeah, we're going to get that though. You still got to get past their Revolutionary Day. But that's the divine constitution. You know, without this constitution, without knowing the United States Constitution, then there's no point of considering this divine constitution, the divine constitution. If you don't understand the American flag, you know you ain't gonna understand the Moorish flag. So back to the federal holiday, June 19th, widely known as Juneteenth, is a federal holiday commemorating the emancipation of enslaved Black Americans. They say it specifically marks the day in 1865 when Union troops arrived in Texas, Galveston, Texas, to inform enslaved people that the Civil War had ended and they were finally free. 1865. June 19th is when the Union troops arrived in Texas. So this is considered as a Texas holiday that became federal. It was state that went federal. They say the emancipation delay, although President Abraham Lincoln signed the Emancipation Proclamation on June 1st, 1863, it wasn't immediately enforced in areas still under Confederate control. So that means all the southern states was under Confederate control. That's why they gave us the appearance to form the Union, because what the Confederate states was up under, which is martial law. Go watch the Free State of Jones, where they were actually teaching a lot of the Moors in the Freedom School. And that was in Mississippi. But they only talking about Texas though. What about the other southern states? It said it wasn't immediately enforced in areas still under Confederate control. It wasn't. So that goes back to the information that was given, that express, implied, give color, which is still the appearance, even though the General Orders #3 on June 19, 1865, the Union Major, right, Mr. Gordon, the General Gordon Granger arrived in Galveston, right, and read General Orders #3, which finally announced that all enslaved people in Texas were free. Didn't I read the Lieber Code General Orders yesterday? Who knew that the General Orders emancipated the Negro? We was taught that the 13th Amendment emancipated the Negro. So why did the Union General had to ride in Texas to explain to them that the General Orders emancipated the Negro, not the 13th Amendment? So this proved that we never got that information until 2 years after, until a few years after. It don't matter how many years it was. The proclamation was passed in 1863. It was still people under the slave master in 1865. It's a national recognition. While African American communities have celebrated this date, often called the Emancipation Day or Freedom Day, for a generation it was officially signed into law as a U.S. federal holiday in June 2021. So all these years I've been in public school, right, for 12 years. For 12 years, ain't nobody ever told me about Juneteenth. Me as a 34-year-old, I'm just now finding out about the Freedom Day when you told me that the 13th Amendment emancipated the Negro. And now all of a sudden, 2021 gives the emancipated Negro a federal holiday after 250 years to explain or to apologize about the mix-up, the mix-up, the misinformation, the miscommunication, the incorrect shit that was given to us. Because every year before 2021, they literally skipped over that day, even though it was a state recognition in Texas. So all the way up to 2021, it was only being recognized and celebrated in Texas. And excuse me, Galveston, Texas. So this is why I be meaning how the information is not being given to our people until later, right? They're not giving it to us now, they're giving it to us later. It's like a piece of candy to a baby. They give the baby the candy now, right? And then take it later. Or they'll give the baby the candy later to take it now. Get it? This AI overview. This is just an overview of this holiday, this holy day, right? Because holly is holy, holy is holly. All they did was just interchange the Y for the I, why they did that, I don't know. You know, these are things that they do. They try to, influence the mind. But it's right there in black and white, in plain view. They literally telling us, oh yeah, nigger, you was emancipated in 1863. But we're just gonna wait and tell them until 1869. All right. By that time, the damn 14th Amendment was already passed. Right? The first documented official state level recognition in Texas. You see how fast I just gather all that information? You say, wow, the very first statewide commemoration of Juneteenth took shape during the Reconstruction era. You know, the military reconstruction. It took place during the Reconstruction era. So they were still trying to reconstruct documents and papers, putting that information in there. Which they still didn't put the information out in the public federally until 2021. So this is a prime example. This is prime timing on how they literally misinformed the public, the people. And according to Times magazines, the survey from the Department of Education explaining that 90 million, which is half of the population, they say, is suffering adult literacy. It's suffering through adult literacy. And I just posted that video, I think a few days ago. But while the very first statewide commemoration of Juneteenth took shape during Reconstruction era, 1868 was highly significant for the following reasons. Expanding traditions, right? So this is part of our culture, our tradition, they trying to say. And they still didn't give it to us till 2021, when the Negro was emancipated in 1863. You say by June 1868, Juneteenth had grown from scattered. You see what I'm saying? So the information was scattered out through the southern states. So it was only certain people who was getting that information. It was only pertaining to a group of individuals, right, that already knew the information, that could articulate and interpret the information. Because we know that a lot of the documents was probably written in cursive. So a lot of people was being up under this curse by reading those documents without actually fully comprehending what the document was saying. So people was kind of making up as they go because they couldn't read the scribble or the scattered information, right? The scattered informal community gatherings into an official public event. Notably, Austin's tri-weekly state Gazette, documented a massive Juneteenth celebration in Texas state capitol, which included a patriotic gathering, a barbecue, and an address by the governor to the newly freed black populace. So right now, they out there having a barbecue. Right now, the 14th Amendment, the ongoing struggle for the true equality and citizenship took a major step forward. That summer, people born into slavery were legally recognized as American. You see what I'm saying? So we ain't even have time to even, digest that information because they ain't give it to us until after the Civil War, right? The end, towards the end and after the Civil War is when they gave us that information. Even though that Abraham Lincoln emancipated the Negro in 1863, and then the general had to go into Texas to actually explain that no, the general order number three, Allen Iverson, war number 3, free the enslaved people in Texas. So imagine how many states, how many counties was up under the appearance of their master orders, they slave master orders. They just saying Texas, but we can imagine how many states it was. So this how I mean that our people perish for the lack of knowledge. Hosea 4:6. Woe to you, Lord, for have you hidden the key of knowledge. So it's very important for us to know what's going on and why they are implementing these federal holidays, creating these new days, these new holidays for us to celebrate. We need to know the history. Without the history, then we are doomed to repeat it. So a lot of this is continuing on. It's a continued controversy today. For days, 2 days, it's a continuing controversy 2 days because we don't have this information. That's why I started off with the divine constitution, because we still up under the appearance of the Emancipation Proclamation of the Negro being freed in 1865, which they taught us. They never taught us about the General Orders number 3. In school, they jumped straight to the 13th Amendment, the Emancipation Proclamation, which they said he signed, but then they jumped straight to the end of the Civil War. Excuse me, they don't even say June 19th, they say June 20th. So last year, June 19th was on a Thursday. So when the last time June 19th was on a Friday? See, God trying to tell us something. God working mysterious ways. So today is very important. Because today might be the only day that we could wake up a lot of people that still think they are slaves. 2 days is the only day that we could be able to put a dent in this machine. June 10th is the federal holiday that was created out of the Texas, Galveston, Texas, to inform the enslaved people that the Civil War had ended and they were finally free. So today is considered as Juneteenth, the federal holiday for the emancipation of all Negroes and Negresses. This holiday falls on, which makes it a major day for all days, to all days. Today is today. make sure that I then put all this information out there. But you know, this is just the AI overview. You could Google these things yourself. You also check out my videos on my YouTube page. I am Adami Ilmoi, ILMOI, not MOEMOI, more of Islam. YouTube page, I am Adami Ilmoi, ILMOI. Also, my other tick page, I am Adami Carolina Ilmoi. The Cairo line, Ilmoi, MOIIL, the Cairo line. You see that gold picture? Click on that picture. And also this channel, In Me I Trust. Because you have to trust in yourselves to possess and retain this information. Because if not, they're going to continue to perpetrate the fraud. Perpetual capitulation. So if you was taught, if you believe that the 13th Amendment emancipated the Negro, then it wasn't. The 13th Amendment only ended involuntary servitude, slavery, involuntary servitude, right? It didn't necessarily say, oh yeah, it emancipated the Negro. It didn't put those words enough, right? So that amendment is universal, right? It applies to all persons, all people who acting as persons. So that right there, if you read it, it'll tell you that unless duly convicted of a crime, an infamous capital. So goes back to, okay, how they been giving us the information throughout the centuries, 250 years of this shit. Because our people perish for the lack of knowledge. It's in the Bible, Hosea 4:6. You know, I usually start off with the devotions today. But I just went straight to the meat and potatoes. Right? See, you know, we're supposed to eat our vegetables too, but I just went straight to the meat and potatoes. So these things is what's happening, you know, and without understanding the divine constitution of Moorish America, which explain a lot of these nefarious acts that happen, because we are having a meeting right now, and all meetings are to be open and closed promptly according to the Circle 7 and love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. Friday is our holy day of rest, because on Friday the first man was formed in flesh, and on Friday the first man departed out of flesh, and ascended unto his Father God Allah. For that cause Friday is the holy day for all Muslims all over the world. So without this, without reading this, without knowing this, then we're going to accept the appearance as all these black holidays, Black History Months, Juneteenth, you know, we're going to accept all these federal holidays as they appear to be, because we don't have this information, the divine constitution of Moorish American. You know, ain't this man is black in this picture? But he didn't call himself black because he knew that the word black was derogatory. It was a villain term. It was considered negative, which is the spell casting that's being put on this language with this art. So without knowing this part, then we're going to accept what they give us as a federal holiday, which is Juneteenth or Black History Month. But all throughout school, like I said, I never knew anything about Juneteenth until I graduated. Now they start implementing new federal holidays. I graduated in 2011. So it's been 10 years after I graduated that they decide to come out and tell the truth. Why you ain't do that when I was in school? Because they didn't say anything about Moorish American Week, Moorish American Month, Moorish history, Moroccan, Noble Joe Ali. They gave us Muhammad Ali, Martin Luther King's Day. They ain't even got Malcolm X's Day. But they want us to accept this holiday, which is today, Juneteenth, the day that they finally told the Negroes that they was emancipated. And they only saying that it happened in Galveston, Texas. Maybe that was the first place he rode into explaining, nigga, we free. Right? But they just that's what they saying. He rode into Texas. So this day puts a pin in, pin the tail on a donkey. This the day. This the only day. And they waited 10 years after I graduated to talk about, oh yeah, y'all was free in 1865. No, excuse me, 1863. Then you waited 2 years later to tell me in 1865 after the Civil War, because you still needed armaments, you still needed bodies to fight the battle in the war. So then you decide, okay, well shit, they was free, so why they gotta fight? Man, go ahead and free them niggers. Right? Just the history that I'm talking about. We already at old age where we ain't to even reflect on the information, to even consider the information. And they do that purposely. Because they know people not gonna do their own due diligence. This was a quick wake up. You know what I'm saying? Early waking bake. Get the blood boiling, get the water flowing. The history of Juneteenth, the emancipation delay. So it was a delay in giving this information, which is another word for mora, which is considered as a default, right? So they defaulted in the obligations, on the obligation, by acting in mora, right? Which creates laches or latches. In order to convey the property over to another, to turn over any newly found evidence. Yeah, I put that video out there too, explaining, the reading this, right? Can you hear me? Is my mic clear? It might be chopping up. Might have to do this video over. I mean, this live might have to do this one over. But if you can hear me, say if you can hear me. But these things haven't been told to our people still. A lot of our people still don't know about Juneteenth. They don't understand the history. And then without you knowing the history, then you're going to fall back to what you know, which is the Emancipation Proclamation, the 13th Amendment, 1865, ended the Civil War. So me thinking, oh, well, they ended the Civil War in 1865, so that emancipated the Negro. When it was a whole nother order that freed the Negro. So that's what we need to be looking for. That order that freed the Negro, and not this appearance of the Emancipation Proclamation in the ending of the 1865 Civil War. You know, those things has been taught to us people in school, unless they teach about the orders, you know, the treaties in college when you get to world history. And you know, those people who took those classes, I don't hear anything from them. If you was in those classes and they taught you this information, you should be on tick right now talking about everything you learned in school. And that's the whole thing about this social society, this education system, this public system. The only way we'll be able to get this information out if it's being published or cast in the media. So if you was one of the ones that was in the world history or world religion 101, you are the one that's supposed to be speaking about this information. It don't matter if you went to high school, middle school, elementary school. If you went to the public education school system, then it's upon us to speak about this information. Us people are the ones who giving information. You know, like how I tell you about food stamps, EBT, WIC, the Advantage card, the Quest card. I start it's telling you, oh yeah, you know, once you reach 18, you can be able to go get your own food stamps. But they don't tell a lot of young adults that, because they still reaping the benefits from the young adults. So all the young adults is going through their whole young adulthood not knowing that they could have went and got food stamps, that you ain't had to spend your money in your pocket that you work hard for on nasty food that's half cooked, that's been sitting out for hours. You got food stamps, right? But they don't teach young people like that. They teach them to work hard, save your money, pay your bills on time, go to school, whoop-de-whoop, right? When there's a lot of folks out here that's homeless, that's going without food. And it's a lot of young people, you know. It's not older folks, it's young people that's going through this shit. And the young folks are supposed to be the one that's more informative about what's going on in the world, because of what they done in the past to our elders by stopping them from receiving a lot of this formation. So now it falls back on us, and it makes us accountable and responsible for what these things they're doing in this system, because we're not giving the right information to our peers, to our family. Because like I said, ain't no reason for a young adult sister or brother to be starving when you can literally go and get food stamps. Seriously, there's no reason. You know, I'm seeing a lot of elderly men and women, you know, even though they might be on disability, get housing. You know, these are things that don't make sense to me. If I could scroll up, tick, and see shit like that, it makes me wonder, like, do he know that you could get food stamps? You hear what I'm saying? I understand if you done did some things in your life that you can't take back. You know, that's what most people use. I'm a felon. I'm a felon. I'm a felon. Well, you know, it's statutes and limitation on all debts, right? So, you know, that poor mindset, that low vibrational thinking, you know, staying above the line is what we trying to be, you know, and not under that line that keeps us below, you know. A lot of that will keep you in that state of mind. You know, by you telling yourself, you telling people, oh, I'm a felon, I can't get food stamps. Oh, I'm a felon, I can't do this, I can't get a job, I can't do that. You know, a lot of those things is just the mindset. You know, the things that they put in our minds since a child. You know, they've been indoctrinating us, what they call educating us people with these things. But, you know, with or without the felon, go to your local DSS office and apply for food stamps. Apply for WIC. You know, just start applying for all the government programs until you get to a certain point where you don't need those programs anymore. You know, why sit there and waste when you could just go to the federal building and ask for what you need? You know, show your identity, you know, present certain documents which is required and needed so you can be able to get the service that you're looking for. And, you know, and stop accepting this victim cycle. Because ain't no way our people don't know nothing about this information. Ain't no way we still trying to enlighten a lot of folks about this newly federal holiday that they just passed in 2021. So it only been out for 4 years. But how long people been talking about Juneteenth? It was never a federal holiday. So hypothetically speaking, into the future, they had to get the people to accept this holiday in order to make it into a federal law. Hypothetically speaking, on some Fulton County shit. So God's word makes plenty of sense when you actually get the full disclosures. It makes plenty of sense. Our people perish for the lack of knowledge. For the love of money is the root of all evil. Proper preparation prevents piss poor performance. Stay ready, you ain't gotta get ready.